What are we but our memories? If you erase my memories, would it be me or someone else? In ancient Greeks, they have this idea that we face our past while the future comes unexpectedly from our backs. And that's correct, and I like this idea much more than this inverted version of what we think about future that we're facing and that our past that we live in. I think we never leave the past. The past always in front of us. All our decisions we make based and rooted in our past experience. Even the future, in some sense, we define through the lens of our past. In some sense, past filled with tyranny toward our future. To radically change your life, you have to let go of your past. Otherwise, your past will always harass you with its reminder of itself. And that's why I like ancient Greeks' idea about facing the past, constantly facing the past, because that's what we do. We look up front and we see our past constantly. And we have no idea about our future. We have some plans, we have some ideas, but if you take a very cynical approach, our future is just the repetition of our past. Maybe it's not even cynical, maybe more realistic. Because if you want to see your future, look at yourself right now and what you're doing right now. That's what your future is. You're just getting physically older and maybe mentally weaker. Depends on your lifestyle. And it's really hard to understand a person without memories, because memories, that's what makes us us. We are our memories. We are the beginning of our story. It's like a book. If you open the book and you read 2 pages, it's really hard to understand the book itself. But if you start from the beginning and go to the very end, that's where the story is hidden. That's where the meaning of this book is hidden. The same with the life. You start with the beginning. First, when you're born, you don't know future or past. You know nothing. But then slowly, when you get slowly older, you become self-aware and you start learning words. And with this learned words, you start trapping certain meanings about your own self and your life around you. And the older you are, the more vocabulary you know, the more knowledge you accumulate, the more memories you develop, and then you become a person with a past. And the person with a past is the person who remembers about themselves. And they judge themselves based on their past decisions. That's actually how we judge even each other. We not only judge ourselves based on our past decisions, we judge each other because the best way to know about somebody is to ask about this person's past. What kind of things this person did in their past. There's expression, if you want to know what person would do in the future, find out what they're done in their past, because in some sense, we behave in the same patterns. You can recognize the same behavior again and again and again and again. Yes, people change, but most of us don't. Most of us do not change unless there are some tragic circumstances that force people to change, or this person decided to change by themselves. And it's really hard because you have to literally rewire the entire architecture in your brain. But with this rewiring, you suddenly realize that all your past makes so little sense that you have to rebuild everything again. It's like you go back to your foundation and you try to rebuild the house again. Because you're not building from the roof, you build from foundation. And you have to go back to your foundation if you want to change completely your life and your outlook on this life. And the memories, I was thinking about this idea how to debug your memories, how to change them. For example, when you get older, you become more wiser. You accumulate such an amount of wisdom. What you can do, you can look back at yourself, back at your mistakes, and try to analyze those mistakes of your past with the new outlook that you have right now. And what it led to you is to kind of debug your false notions. Because you can go back and say, okay, this thing, I was wrong about this thing. Let me change this. And you start debugging these things that you start fixing these foolish notions or erroneous notions that might be incredibly bad for your present. And that's how you think debugging yourself, because in some sense, if you reconsider your past ideas completely, your future, your present would change, because your brain would find different pattern of recognition. For example, if you think this way about certain things like 10, 20 years ago, right? What you do, you go back almost in time in your mind and you try to re-understand them. You try to understand them in a different way, and while understanding them in a different way, while correcting your understanding of those things, you in some sense create a certain thread, a line, a story that affect you in the present, because in some sense you become a different person in real time, because you can actually change your past. It's just will change your brain architecture, create new neural connections, new patterns, and you suddenly would recognize different things through these changes. It's really interesting because you literally can change your past, because you will change attitude toward your past, and by changing attitude toward your past, you will change your present, and it would affect the change in your future. But for this, you have to constantly try to figure out what's wrong with your life, and you try to collect wisdom, you try to collect new ideas. Like, for example, this great thing about this ancient Greek when they said that your future is in the back while your past is right in front of your eyes. And I think it's really hard to remember past. We always add to our past the colors of emotions, feelings, and we sometimes remember even through smells, through environment, through the weather, through smell of flowers or many other things, because we have this multiple ideas of remembrance. But the best thing is to remember is information. That's what you can change, because you cannot change the colors, so you cannot change the smell, you cannot change how it makes you feel. But what you can change is the information of how you used to perceive certain things, and mostly on intellectual level, mostly on your emotional level, because if something doesn't give you a chance to rest, if something harassing you constantly, what you can do, you can just reconsider your attitude toward it. And then this reconsideration will help you to build new foundation for those memories, like a new, in some sense you can think about it as a warehouse, or maybe, yes, warehouse with a bunch of tiny rooms where your thoughts are hidden about certain events. And when you try to reconsider certain things, you kind of rebuild this room, make it more spacious, and you add something from your current experience to your past ideas. Because, for example, in the past, you didn't know what you know now. And what you know now, you can add this to your past experience, past ideas, and realize you can actually change again your past. And we are incredibly complicated creatures in this case. And there's so many memories in us. And that's what another thing about afterlife. When you believe in afterlife, I don't know about afterlife. I want to believe there's something more than I have now. But at the same time, all my memories stored in my biological brain, and my brain will die with my body, and the memories will dissipate into nowhere, and my memories are me, unless they're separate thing as a mind that live on, but my mind has no memories. My mind is something that makes me self-aware of myself without information of self. It's just awareness that I'm present. And knowing this, that I'm just present, plus you add your memories, that create persona. Because if you have no memories, you just have awareness, that you're just aware of yourself. With the memories, you create personality and you create a person. But without memories, you're just aware of itself.